you guys. Welcome to Audrey's reading area on this terrific Educational Tuesday. Woo! Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 8 p.m.
Alexa, what time is Audrey's reading area?
Audrey reads in her area live at 8 o'clock p.m.
Live at 8, you guys. Live at 8. All right. Don't forget, click that like button, hit that share button. Share my video so everybody gets to listen to me read. And today you're going to learn some new stuff in a fun way too. Yes, because I have a book. Shout out to Brian Martin. Brian sent me this book to read and this shirt. So shout out to Brian Martin, who was Lucille Ball. And this says, I'm Lucy. Isn't that cute? I'm Lucy. This says, who was Lucille Ball? And this says, I'm Lucy. Love it. He sent these to me to read. So shout out to Brian Martin for sending me these books, and I will be reading it right now after I shout out my grandbabies, Korea, Sana, David III, and Caden. And I miss and love you guys so much. Pray every day I get to see you guys again. Soon. Well, all right. Loving this shirt, by the way. Thanks again, Mr. Brian Martin. Who was Lucille Ball? We're going to jump right into this book, and it's written by, and I'm going to switch up my glasses. I had to have the black ones on because they match. But now it's time to read, right? We got to seriously read and see what these words say. So it's written by Pam Pollack and Meg. I guess it's illustrated, if there are any illustrations, and there are, illustrated by Meg Belviso. Belviso. Yes. Who was Lucille Ball? All right, let's jump right into this book. It's going to be a little long. Nice little pictures of her. I don't know. I think she looks like me in this one. I'm just saying. Oh, it's written by Pam Pollack and Meg Belviso, and it's illustrated by Gregory Copeland. Ah, there we go. I don't know why they left him off of the front cover. I'm just saying. Let's put him on there too. They usually do. Who was Lucille Ball? Now, how many of you used to watch that show or still watches that show, I Love Lucy? She was, and I say was because she's passed away. Rest in peace, Miss Lucille Ball. She was hysterical. She was so funny. OMG. Who was Lucille Ball? In the spring of 1952, cities across America experienced a mysterious drop in the water pressure every week between 9:30 and 9:35 p.m. In New York City, it seemed impossible to get a taxi on a Monday night. All the cabbies were off duty. And in Chicago, a department store changed its business hours because it seemed like no one was shopping on Monday nights anymore. I can guess why. What was going on? It turned out that it was all related to a TV show, a half-hour comedy. On Monday nights, Americans from coast to coast rushed through their dinner. Kids finished their homework as fast as they could. By 9 o'clock, everyone gathered in front of their televisions and waited. In the 1950s, TV took a while to warm up. Finally, a big heart appeared against a satin background. The theme song of I Love Lucy began, and America was watching. It turned out that the viewers across the country were all waiting for the show to be over before using the bathroom. They didn't want to leave. They didn't want to miss anything. She was really that hysterical. She was so funny. Toilets all flushing all at the same time had caused the water pressure to drop throughout one city. No one wanted to miss a minute of Lucy. She was funny. Lucille Ball, the star of the show, was the most beloved woman on television. She was funny. She did some crazy things that no other actor would, well, some other actors wouldn't do. Whatever trouble she was in, Lucy could make it seem like the funniest thing anyone had ever seen. All over the country, people couldn't stop laughing. How did Lucille Ball become one of America's first big TV stars? It wasn't easy. She worked for years in Hollywood, making movies before she got a chance to show TV viewers just how funny she could be. But she wasn't afraid of hard work. And she wasn't afraid to take a pie in the face. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Or fill her pockets with eggs. Or her mouth with chocolates. Oh, those were the funny ones. All to make people laugh. I Love Lucy was the name of her show. And how could you not? Because she was funny. Like funny. Lucy Ball. Lucille Desiree Ball was born in Jamestown, New York on August 6, 1911. Although she always preferred Lucille, her family nicknamed her Lucy Ball. And the world came to know and love her as Lucy. Her father, Henry, worked for the Bell telephone, putting up lines all over the country. So Lucy, and Lucy's mother, Desiree, moved around a lot. So I guess her middle name was named after her mom's first name. When Lucy was 3 and her mother was pregnant, Henry died of typhoid fever. Her father, oh no. Lucy and her mother, who was known as Dee Dee, moved in with Dee Dee's parents, Frederick and Flora Bell Hunt. The family lived in Celeron, New York, not far from Jamestown. There, Lucy's brother, Fred Ball, was born in 1915. Other relatives came to live at the house in Celeron, too, including Lucy's young cousin, Cleo. Grandpa Fred took Lucy to the theater to see the live vaudeville shows in Jamestown on Saturdays and to the silent flickers movies. They called them flickers back then. It's the movies because it was flick. Not like the movie theaters now, they give it flick. Okay. Shown outside in the park during the summer months. Vaudeville. From the 1880s through the 1930s, the most popular form of live entertainment in the United States was vaudeville. Each show, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, so forgive me if I am, each show is made up of many different performers. The stage acts might include singers, dancers, jugglers, acrobats, or even trained animals. Some of the most popular performers were also the funniest. Favorite comedians like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin started out in vaudeville and went on to become stars of early movies. So here is a close-up of what that looked like. Vaudeville. Even though she was still very young, Lucy was a responsible girl. After her grandmother died, she looked after her younger cousins. From the time she was 10, she took any odd job that she could find. She sold hot dogs at the local boardwalk and she worked at an ice cream shop until she was fired for always forgetting to put the banana in the banana split. Maybe she was eating the bananas, I don't know. By the time she was a teenager, Lucy was very independent. She was the first girl in town to bob or cut short her hair. First girl in town to do that. Which was very shocking in the early 1920s. She was a flapper, a slang word for the rebellious young women who wore makeup and short skirts. Because that wasn't common back then. They didn't do that back then. Lucy liked it when people in town talked about her. Whether it's good or bad, they talking about her, right? She loved the attention. What she really wanted was to be on stage like the performers in the vaudeville acts or in the flickers. There weren't a lot of ways to become famous in Celeron, so Lucy started to think about where else she might follow her dream. New York City wasn't that far away. Many of the theaters in America were right there on Broadway. Lucy had never really tried to act before. She couldn't sing or dance, but she thought she could learn. If she just worked hard enough, Lucy was sure she could become a star, and she had never been afraid of hard work. By age 15, Lucy had convinced her mother to let her attend acting school in New York City. Even though money was tight, Dee agreed to pay for Lucy to go for a 6-week trial period. Lucy did her best at the school, but her teachers didn't think she had any talent. At the end of the 6 weeks, the school sent Lucy home with a note telling Dee that she was wasting her money. They said Lucy would never be an actress. But Lucy didn't care what the school thought. If they didn't want her, she would make it in New York on her own. Ain't meant for show business. Over the next 7 years, Lucy traveled back and forth between New York City and Celeron. She tried out for any acting job she could find, but she rarely got cast. Not even when she briefly changed her name to the more glamorous Diane Belmont, and later simply to Montana. She had changed her name to those. And then it seemed as if her luck was changing. Lucy got a job in a Broadway show. She would be in the chorus. That meant she was one of a dozen girls who sang and danced together behind the star of the show. Interesting. But after only 2 rehearsals, the stage manager fired her. It's no use, Montana. He told her, go home. You ain't meant for show business. Oh boy. Lucy earned money selling makeup at drugstores and modeling in department stores. She tried on outfits for wealthy shoppers. If the customers liked how they looked on Lucy, they might try the clothes on themselves. I wish they paid me to do that now. I could do that. In the spring of 1933, she became a Chesterfield girl, a model in the advertisements for Chesterfield cigarettes. Lucy was pictured in a skirt that showed off her long legs on billboards. Look at that, on billboards, posters, and window displays. She often walked around town looking for her face on Chesterfield billboards. When she found one, she would stand in front of it, hoping somebody would recognize her. Nobody ever did. Lucy didn't yet have the eye-catching red hair she would later be famous for. She was just another blonde girl on the crowded New York City sidewalk. Lucy was now 22. She had been trying to get work as an actress for 7 years. She wondered if she would ever break into show business. One morning, as Lucy took a walk down Broadway, she bumped into Sylvia Harlow. Sylvia was an agent. She hired a lot of pretty girls and dancers for New York nightclub shows and also for movies. Sylvia was thrilled to run into Lucy. She had just hired a group of actresses to work at Goldwyn Studios in Hollywood. One of the young women had dropped out at the last minute, so Sylvia was looking to replace her. The girls were leaving on Saturday, and there was no time for a screen test. Would Lucy be willing to leave quickly for California? Ask me, I'll go. I'll go to California. Of course she would. Sylvia gave Lucy a coat, a hat, and a dress. She promised her that if the job with Samuel Goldwyn, the head of the studio, didn't work out, she could come back to New York. When Lucy boarded the 20th Century Limited train at Grand Central Terminal, we all know it's the Grand Central Station, at the end of the week, she was sure she had finally gotten her lucky break. She was sure she got her lucky break. Queen of the Bees. This is Samuel Goldwyn. When Lucy and the other young women from New York arrived in Hollywood, they were lined up wearing bathing suits by Samuel Goldwyn. He wanted to see if the actresses that Sylvia had sent from New York were pretty enough to be in Hollywood stars. To make him laugh, Lucy stuffed her bathing suit with anything she could find. Toilet paper, gloves, and socks. OMG. That's her. Stuffed herself. She wanted to make him laugh. Sometimes you do quirky little things like that. It catches their attention, right? The joke did make Mr. Goldwyn laugh and got her a screen test too. After seeing the test, Goldwyn wanted to send Lucy back to New York, but the director Busby Berkeley liked her. He gave her a part in a film he was making called Roman Scandals. Lucy didn't have any lines, but finally she was in a movie. From the 1920s to the 1960s, the Hollywood movie industry operated under the studio system. A small number of major studios made movies on their own lots, the property they owned in and around Los Angeles. Actors who signed contracts with the studio were paid a salary and did whatever work the studio had for them. The actors received steady paychecks, but the studio controlled their entire careers. Studio bosses created movie stars any way they thought would make money for their studios. They changed actors' names, set them up on dates, and made up stories about their past and present lives for the press. Wow. We're learning a little bit, huh? Lucille Ball, y'all. With her red hair. She's funny. Lucy was willing to do anything to stay in Hollywood. After Roman Scandals, she had tiny parts in lots of movies. She took lessons at the studio, learning how to sing and dance and how to do hair and makeup. Lucy felt like she was back in acting school. She couldn't sing or dance as well as the other students could. She didn't think she was very pretty. The only way she could get attention was by being a clown. She made faces. See one of her faces? She made faces, pretended to fall down, and made jokes. But none of it made Sam Goldwyn want to turn her into a big star. Although her movie career seemed to be moving slowly, her personal life was not. She fell in love with a handsome young actor named George Raft. George introduced Lucy to his glamorous Hollywood friends. He took her to nightclubs and boxing matches in a fancy custom-built Cadillac. The Cadillac. He even had a bodyguard. But when Lucy introduced George to a friend of hers, he fell in love with her friend and out of love with Lucy. Even so, Lucy and George remained friends. George helped Lucy get a contract at Columbia Picture Studio. She would be earning $75 a week. Now that she had a contract, Lucy brought her family from the East Coast out to California, to the West Coast. Didi, Fred, Grandpa, and Cleo all shared a small house above Sunset Boulevard, one of the most famous streets in Hollywood. Imagine. Screwball comedies. Let's see what that means. During the 1930s, some of the most popular movies in America were screwball comedies. They were usually about a couple who loved each other but often couldn't get along. They were known for their crazy plots, fast-paced jokes, and happy endings. Screwball humor was sometimes similar to the slapstick comedy that had been so popular in vaudeville. It often involved silly antics and not a lot of common sense. Some of Hollywood's greatest actresses, including Katharine Hepburn, Carole Lombard, and Irene Dunne, were known for their screwball comedies. A few of the most popular were My Man Godfrey, The Awful Truth, It Happened One Night, His Girl Friday, and Bringing Up Baby. In 1934, America was in the middle of the Great Depression. It was a time when many people lost their jobs and their life savings. Kind of like now. I'm just saying. Everyone was having trouble earning enough money. Even a big studio like Columbia Pictures needed to cut back. So Columbia began firing many of its actors. Lucy was out of work again. A friend told her another studio, RKO, was looking for pretty actresses for a movie called Roberta. Lucy jumped at the chance. At RKO, Lucy started dating Pandro Berman, a young producer. Pandro cast her in a couple of films, including Stage Door. where she played a tough-talking chorus girl. Oh, she got a speaking role this time, huh? Another actress in the film, Eve Arden, became a lifelong friend of Lucy's. The two of them always seemed to get the same kind of parts, the drop gag girls. You'd walk through a room, drop a smart remark, and exit. Drop a smart remark, and then leave. They call it the drop gag girls. Lucy later explained Lucy was good in these parts, and she got a lot of them, but they didn't make her a star. In February of 1935, Lucy's name appeared on screen for the very first time in credits for the movie Carnival. Carnival. Although she had been in 14 other movies, her parts were so small and unimportant, her name wasn't mentioned in the cast. Before Carnival, most of the movies Lucy appeared in were not movies that everyone went to see. At that time, movies were shown as double features. The picture with the big movie stars were called the A for Audrey. I'm just saying A for Audrey. They were called the A picture, and it was shown first. Then they showed another shorter film with less famous actors. That was the B picture. Lucy made so many of these shorter movies, she became known as the Queen of the Bees. Queen of the Bees. By 1940, Lucy was 29. She still couldn't sing or dance that well, but RKO cast her as a college freshman in the musical Too Many Girls. Her co-star in the movie was a 23, she was 29, and her co-star was 23-year-old Cuban band leader Desi Arnaz. For Desi and Lucy, it was love at first sight. Desi Arnaz. Mr. and Mrs. Arnaz. Lucy and Desi met in June of 1940. In the cafeteria known as the commissary at RKO Studio. Desi was having lunch with director George Abbott. They talked about the movie Desi was going to be in called Too Many Girls. When Lucy came into the commissary, she had a black eye. Her hair was hanging in her face. Her tight dress was torn. Desi was surprised when George said hello to her. "What was that?" he asked when Lucy limped away on her broken high-heeled shoes. "That's Lucille Ball," said George. "She's going to be in Too Many Girls with you." Desi didn't know how he felt about this tough girl with a black eye being in his movie. I didn't know when they met she had a black eye. This is the tough girl with the black eye. Later, while Desi was rehearsing at the studio, a girl walked in. Desi thought she was beautiful. With her big blue eyes and reddish blonde hair, he started singing just for her. He was shocked when he learned this mysterious woman was the same Lucille Ball he'd met at lunch. Lucy had simply been in costume for a different movie. This is them. Desi asked her if she knew how to do the rumba. It's a Cuban dance. "No, but I bet you do," she said. Desi told her he could teach her the dance, but only if she went out with him that night. Lucy said yes. On November 30th of that same year, they got married. Wow, they got married quick. Desi had grown up in the island country of Cuba. His father was the mayor of the city of Santiago. Desi planned to go to law school in the United States when he graduated from high school. But in 1933, his family moved to Miami, Florida, and Desi's life changed forever. Desi, who had once lived like a prince, now earned money selling canaries and pottery while going to high school and learning to speak English. In Cuba, he had played the guitar for fun. Now he bought a secondhand guitar and got a job playing in a local hotel. The customers loved to dance to Desi's Cuban rumba beat. He was soon getting jobs with bands, and eventually he became the leader of a band on his own. He decided what songs to play and directed the other musicians. That led to a job on Broadway and then Hollywood. Desi was a band leader on stage and in the movie. So on Broadway is New York and Hollywood is California, in case you guys didn't know that. Lucy and Desi bought a little ranch in the San Fernando Valley, about 10 miles away from Hollywood. But since Desi's job took him around the country while Lucy worked in Hollywood, they didn't see much of each other. Lucy and Desi wanted to find a way to spend more time together. So in 1941, they created an act with songs that they could perform on stage together. But their dream was put on hold when America entered World War II. Desi traveled around the country with other Hollywood stars, putting on shows to raise money for the war. He also performed at army bases for the soldiers. In 1942, Lucy signed a new contract with yet another studio, MGM. MGM. She was cast in Dewberry Was a Lady, her first big role at MGM. World War II. World War II. Boogie, 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 boogie. In 1939, Germany started invading neighboring countries. France and Great Britain soon declared war on Germany. America stayed out of the war until December 7, 1941, when Germany's ally, Japan, attacked a U.S. military base called Pearl Harbor. In Hawaii, by the way. America declared war and entered the fighting in Europe and in the Pacific. Men joined the Army, Navy, and Air Force, and women went to work to help the war effort. In Hollywood, many celebrities enlisted to fight. Others made movies and trips abroad to encourage the soldiers. It was a boogie, 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 boogie. I don't remember the song, I'm sorry. Oh, look at Lucille Ball. Beautiful. Beautiful. Look at her. It was the first color film for Lucy. Filmed in color. Up to this time, most Hollywood movies had been filmed in black and white. So back in the days, you guys, I know you don't know about this, but back in the days, all their movies were filmed in black and white. They didn't have color back then. So up to this time, most Hollywood movies had been filmed in black and white. The hairstylist at Lucy's new studio dyed Lucy's blonde hair strawberry pink so that it would stand out on screen. Lucy decided to keep her hair that vivid red color for the rest of her life. Interesting. But her new hair color didn't make Lucy a star. She was still getting only small parts at MGM. Lucy had a lot of time to spend with a new friend she'd met at the studio, the silent film star Buster Keaton. Keaton's movies were still popular, even though they had no sound. Lucy wanted to know how he managed to be so funny without ever saying a word. Shout out to Brian Martin again, who got me this book and the shirt. Thank you, Brian. Buster Keaton. He started out in vaudeville, performing with his father. As part of the family comedy act, young Buster was thrown around, sometimes right off the stage. He wasn't hurt. It was all part of the act. After Buster learned to keep a straight face throughout the act, audiences laughed even harder. When he became famous as a star of silent movies, he was nicknamed the Great Stone Face. I just can imagine it was like that. Buster Keaton is a comedy legend whose silent movies are still loved today. I'm going to look him up and watch some of the stuff that he's done. Buster Keaton taught Lucy about the tricks he used on screen. He showed her how to take a simple prop, like a lamp or a chair, and make a whole skit out of it. That kind of comedy wasn't really popular in Hollywood anymore. People loved to laugh at the clever jokes of the screwball comedies. But Lucy saw that Buster's style of comedy could still make people laugh. And it did. Lucy made more movies with MGM, but none of them were big hits. Like Desi also had a new contract with MGM, but he was drafted into the Army in 1943 and sent to work at a hospital in California. Oh. The hospital cared for a lot of wounded soldiers. Desi wasn't a doctor, but it was his job to make sure the patients kept their spirits up and kept busy. After the war ended, Lucy accepted the lead role in a radio comedy show, My Favorite Husband. The show premiered in July 1948, and Lucy's role as a housewife got the attention of the people at the CBS network. They were interested in creating shows for the new sensation in American homes, the television. They hoped to turn the radio comedy into a TV show. Got that idea there. The birth of television. In the early 1950s, when television first became popular in the United States, there weren't many TV stations in operation. They were either on the East or the West Coast. But by 1955, half of all the U.S. households had TV sets. I think all of the households have it now, right? Many of the earliest programs were based on well-known radio shows and short films like The Adventures of Ellery Queen and Gangbusters. But soon new shows were being created just for TV. Just for TV. As more stations were built all over the country, the price of TV sets became more affordable. That right there. By 1960, 9 out of 10 homes in the country had a television. Growing up with 4 of us, we had one TV in the house. We always had to watch what our parents wanted to watch. Till I got my own TV. I grew up, got a job, got my own TV. Lucky Lucy knew the perfect person to play her husband on television. Her own husband. Light bulb, huh? Desi Arnaz. But the producers at CBS didn't think viewers would believe that Lucy could be married to a man with a Cuban accent. They probably meant that people wouldn't like seeing a red-haired, blue-eyed actress like Lucy with a Hispanic husband. But Lucy wouldn't back down. Good for her. She decided to prove them wrong. She and Desi began rehearsing the act they had put together in the months before the World War II. They practiced their funny routines and songs. They performed the show at movie theaters before the film started, and audiences loved them. Loved them. And still loves them. In the end, CBS decided to create a show about a marriage between a housewife, Lucy, and her famous Cuban band leader husband. Lucy and Desi were thrilled. Not only were they going to be on television together, but also Lucy had just learned she was going to have a baby. After years of hard work, and now in her late 30s, Lucy felt that she had finally gotten her big break. But with a baby on the way, she was going to be very busy. I remember that episode when they wrote that into the show. Loved it. America loves Lucy. I'm Lucy. Lucy and Desi's own company, Desilu Productions, was in charge of their new show. Lucy would play a New York housewife. Her husband, played by Desi, would be a band leader in the city. Their show, called I Love Lucy, was a situation comedy. They call it now a sitcom. That's short for situation comedy. That meant it was about characters who lived or worked together and resolved a certain situation. That week's story by the end of each episode. So the episode, it wasn't like a soap opera where it always continues. So it resolved that situation by the end of the story. So now you guys know what a sitcom is, or a situation comedy, a sitcom. Funny shows like this became so popular they were often called by the shorter name sitcom, like I just told you. In the new show, Lucy and Desi played Lucy and Ricky Ricardo. They lived in an apartment building in New York City. Their best friends were their neighbors, Fred and Ethel Mertz. Lucy Ricardo had dreams of being a star. She often tried to get herself into Ricky's nightclub shows. Many of the episodes had the two wives, Lucy and Ethel, competing against their husbands. Every episode showed Lucy getting herself into crazy situations. When I say crazy situations, they were so hilarious. Crazy situations that she often tried to resolve before her husband came home. Lucille Ball used all the tricks she learned from Buster Keaton to be funny without even talking. And when I tell you she was funny, check out Lucy. I love Lucy. Most TV shows at the time were done live. That meant people were watching the show at home as it was being performed in the studio. Viewers on the West Coast had to watch the program earlier because of the 3-hour time difference between the two coasts. But unlike other TV shows at the time, Lucy and Desi filmed their live shows the same way that movies were made. Good idea. This is the reason that I Love Lucy can still be watched today. Can still watch it. Hilarious. While they were working on the new show, Lucy was getting closer and closer to having her baby. Her daughter, Lucy Desiree Arnaz, was born on July 17, 1951. Wow. Lucy Desiree Arnaz. In honor of this new daughter, Desi wrote a song. There's a brand new baby at our house. Both Lucy and Desi went right back to work filming the show. On Monday, October 15, 1951, the first episode of I Love Lucy aired on television. Look at her. Look at her. Look at him. Too funny. By the spring of 1952, I Love Lucy was the highest rated show on TV. It was watched in 10 million households each week. Strange things started happening in the United States on Monday nights. Everyone was waiting until I Love Lucy was over to use the bathroom. So all the toilets were flushing at one time. In New York City, it seemed impossible to get a taxi because all the cab drivers were taking breaks to watch the show in local bars. Now, my thing is, it was a half-hour show. Why didn't you use the bathroom before the show so you sit down comfortably and just watch it? I mean, that's just me. I'm just saying. By May of 1952, the show was watched by more people than saw most Hollywood movies. Lucy had found her true home on television. I'm telling you, this show will make you laugh. Make you laugh. Lucy's greatest hits. Here are some of the most famous moments in I Love Lucy history. Lucy's Italian movie. Hoping to get a part in an Italian movie, Lucy volunteers to stomp grapes. Oh my goodness, that was the funniest. Oh, yes, I saw it. With her bare feet for an Italian winemaker, while standing in the giant vat of grapes, she gets into a fight with another worker, making a complete grape juice mess. Hilarious. Lucy and Ethel get jobs in a candy factory. Oh my gosh, this is another hilarious one. They get jobs in a candy factory wrapping chocolate in an assembly line. And they can't keep up with the speed of the conveyor belt. They tried to hide the candy anywhere they can, and it was just stuffing it in their mouth. It was just hilarious. Funny, funny, funny. Lucy does a TV commercial. Lucy films a commercial for a new health tonic called Vitameatavegamin. Vitameatavegamin. Although it's made from vitamins, meat, vegetables, and minerals, it's really mostly alcohol. Oh boy. I don't remember that one, but I'm sure I saw it. The more she rehearses the commercial, the more she drinks. We know what that means. Although she's trying to sound peppy, by the end of the show, she can barely speak. LA at last. When Lucy sees one of her favorite movie stars at the famous Brown Derby restaurant, she winds up getting tangled in her own plate of spaghetti and accidentally throwing a pie in his face. Lucy does the tango. Lucy decides to raise chickens and ends up hiding dozens of eggs in her clothes. Can you imagine hiding eggs in your clothes? Right before Ricky suggests they practice the tango. Oh boy. Can Lucy keep the eggs in one piece while Ricky tries to hold her close? That's crushing the eggs, right? The episode ends with another Lucy mess. This episode got what many say is the longest laugh in TV history. 65 seconds. The laugh was so long, it had to be shortened for TV. So the studio audience, the live studio audience that was there watching while they're recording it and saw this happening, they laughed so long they couldn't stop. So that's 1 minute and 5 seconds, 65 seconds they were laughing for. Little Ricky. Even after Lucy learned she was going to have another baby, she had no intentions of taking time off from the I Love Lucy filming schedule. Lucy and Desi hoped to make Lucy's pregnancy part of the show by having the character of Lucy Ricardo be pregnant too. But the television network thought that showing a pregnant woman was unsuitable for family viewing. They thought that Lucy's pregnancy should be kept secret. In the end, Lucy and Desi convinced them that Lucy's TV character should be pregnant too. It was the first time a pregnancy was shown on television. Wow. The episode of I Love Lucy called Lucy Goes to the Hospital aired on January 19, 1953. It was said to have been watched by more viewers than the president's inauguration. The Ricardos' new baby, known as Little Ricky, became the most famous child in television history. Earlier that same morning, a crowd of reporters followed Desi into the hospital where the real Lucy was giving birth. When Desi learned he had a son, he ran out shouting to the reporters, "It's a boy! It's a boy! It's a boy!" That's Lucy for you. Always does her best to cooperate. Now we have everything. They named their son Desiderio Alberto Arnaz IV. Desi Arnaz Jr. Desiderio Alberto Arnaz. Lucy's two sons. When Lucille Ball had a baby boy, the Arnazes received 27,863 letters and cards, 3,154 telegrams, and 638 packages containing gifts for the baby. They had to hire 4 secretaries just to handle all that mail. Can you imagine? Wow. Lucy and Desi Jr. appeared on the very first cover of TV Guide magazine. I didn't know that. Oh, wow. TV Guide magazine, which may have confused many readers into thinking he played her TV son, Little Ricky. He did not. But the public didn't seem to care. They wanted to celebrate Lucy and Desi's baby with them. They rushed out to buy Little Ricky dolls, aprons, furniture, jewelry, and even potty seats that companies made in honor of Lucy's TV baby and her real son. Wow. Wow. As far as America was concerned, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz were Lucy and Ricky Ricardo. America loved Lucy, but in the 1950s, some Americans lived in great fear of the spread of communism, a type of society where all the land and businesses are owned by the government. Many U.S. citizens, especially those who worked in radio, television, and movies, were accused of wanting to help make communist ideas popular in the United States. Congress questioned them and sometimes banned them from working for years if they thought, just a thought, they were guilty. In the 1930s, Lucy's beloved grandfather had encouraged her to join the Communist political party. During the Great Depression, communism appealed to some working people. Lucy had agreed to join simply to please her grandfather. So, affidavit of registration, Miss Lucille D. Ball has an address and everything. Wow, interesting. Now, angry congressmen were accusing her of being an enemy in the United States. In September of 1953, Lucy was called to testify before the House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC. Lucy was afraid that people would turn against her. Desi was angry at the accusations and stood by his wife. Good husband. And so did fans of I Love Lucy. When Lucy met privately with HUAC investigators, she was cleared of any wrongdoing or communist connections. Her fans had remained loyal, and Lucy would always be grateful to them. Good. House Un-American Activities Committee. The U.S. House of Representatives created the House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC, in 1938. The committee feared that people working in Hollywood could influence Americans through movies and television shows to believe in communism. They interviewed people and blacklisted, banned from working. That's what that means, blacklisted. They banned them from working. Anyone who seemed to share or promote communist ideas. In 1969, HUAC redirected itself to focus on domestic terrorism. It was now called the House Internal Security Committee. 6 years later, the House of Representatives abolished the committee. House of Representatives. Desi was still working very long hours running their company and producing I Love Lucy. But by 1957, Lucy and Desi seemed to get along better on screen than off. Uh-oh. At the end of a long day, Desi preferred to go to the nightclubs while Lucy stayed at home with their children in their new mansion in Beverly Hills. Lucy and Desi Jr. knew better than anyone that the parents they now watched on the I Love Lucy show were not the same parents they lived with. The characters of Lucy and Ricky Ricardo always made up by the end of the episode. Lucy and Desi Arnaz never stopped fighting. Oh. That year, they filmed the last episode of I Love Lucy, which was already being shown in reruns. The income from the show had earned Lucy and Desi enough money to buy RKO Studios, the same studio where they had met nearly 20 years earlier. Now that the show was over, they wanted to work on the Arnaz family as hard as they had worked on being the Ricardos. Nice. It's funny because on the Lucy show, I only remember her having one baby on that show. I didn't know they had 3. Okay. In May 1959, the family took a trip to Europe, but the trip didn't patch up the marriage. By the time they returned home, they were barely speaking. As much as Lucy wanted Desi to stay at home with the family, Desi always seemed to find other things to do. Lucy and Desi decided to make occasional shows about the Ricardos, which were called the Lucy-Desi Comedy Hour. The last one aired on March 2nd, 1960. In Lucy Meets the Mustache, Lucy and Ricky Ricardo seemed as happy as ever. The very next day, the Arnazes announced that their marriage was ending. Lucy and Desi were getting a divorce, and I Love Lucy was officially over. By the way, that's Lucy. She always did some crazy stuff like that. Back to Broadway. Back to Broadway. What would Lucy do now? She decided to go back to New York. After all these years, she was finally going to be in a Broadway show. The musical was called Wildcat. Lucy would play Wildcat Jack, a woman who tricks a western town into believing she owns their land. With her marriage over, Lucy was glad to get away from Hollywood. She, Lucy, Desi Jr., and Dee Dee moved into a fancy apartment on the east side of Manhattan. It took 4 huge moving vans full of furniture, clothing, rugs, paintings, and toys to move Lucy to New York. Wow. Wow. This is the Wildcat. Lucy was still not much of a singer or a dancer. She was nearly 50 and had spent much of her career acting on a sitcom. It was not easy to perform in 8 live shows a week, especially a musical. Lucy threw herself into voice and dance lessons. Wildcat opened to the biggest advance sales in the history of the Alvin Theater. Opening night was on December 16, 1960. Desi was in the audience. The show was a hit, but it was too hard for Lucy to perform in the show for very long. Less than 6 months later, she returned to California with her children. But they weren't alone. Lucy was now dating Gary Morton. He was a comedian she had met in New York. On November 19, 1961, Lucy and Gary got married. Although they tried to keep the wedding secret, a huge crowd gathered outside the Marble Collegiate Church to wish them well. I don't even remember her getting remarried. Lucy couldn't wait to return to TV. Without Desi, Lucy would be the only star in her new show, The Lucy Show. Lucy played a widow named Lucy who had a son and a daughter. Her best friend, Viv, was once again being played by the actress Vivian Vance, who had played Ethel Mertz on I Love Lucy. The day the show started shooting, Desi came by to wish Lucy luck. That was nice. He even gave her a 4-leaf clover charm made of emerald jade for luck. The Lucy Show premiered on October 1st, 1962. It was an immediate hit. Everyone was thrilled that Lucy was back on TV. Just 1 month later, Lucy bought Desi's share of their company and became the president of Desilu. She was the first woman in history to run a major production company. In the past, she'd left the business side of things up to Desi. Now it was time to do things her way. Her way. Changing times. The Lucy Show continued to be a hit with the audiences. Lucy's new husband, Gary, was given the job of telling jokes to put the audience in a good mood before the Lucy Show was taped. He had won over Lucy and Desi Jr. by being a good friend and encouraging their mother to be less strict. At this same time, Desi Jr. was moving into the spotlight himself. When he was 12, he and 2 friends started a rock band. Lucy wasn't sure how to deal with Desi Jr.'s surprise stardom. He was only 13 and suddenly he was a big star. Lucy herself had worked for decades before she became famous. Desi Jr. loved to play drums, but he had always been a little shy. Having a famous mother hadn't prepared him for what it was like to be famous himself. So in July of 1967, Lucy sold Desilu to Paramount for $17 million. That's a lot of money back then. It wasn't easy for Lucy to say goodbye to Desilu. She was proud of the company she had worked so hard at making a success. Lucy immediately started work on a new show. Here's Lucy. By this time, people had lost interest in 15-year-old Desi Jr.'s band. He and his sister Lucy began acting on the new show, playing Lucy's children. Desi took out full-page ads in the newspapers congratulating his children on their TV debut. The ads also said, "That red-headed gal playing your mother is the greatest." Aw. Aw. Dino, Desi, and Billy. Desi Arnaz Jr. became friends with Dino Martin and Billy Hinch in elementary school. Dino's father, Dean Martin, was a famous singer and actor. Through him, the boys met Frank Sinatra, another very famous singer and actor who gave them a recording contract. Pays to know people, right? The band Dino, Desi, and Billy formed in 1964. They had 2 hit songs in 1965, "I'm a Fool" and "Not the Lovin' Kind." Although they continued to make records together until 1969, Billy Hinch was the only member of the group who grew up to become a professional musician and vocalist. Interesting. Lucy still worked just as hard as she's ever had, and she expected her children to work hard too. Both Lucy and Desi Jr. were grateful for the weekends when they could relax with their father. In 1971, Desi Jr. left the show. He was 17. In January of 1972, Lucy fell and broke her leg while on a skiing trip. She spent almost the entire 5th season of Here's Lucy in a cast. The ratings on her show were falling. Oh boy. By early 1973, she was well enough to star in the movie version of the Broadway musical Mame. Lucy's co-star in the movie was Bea Arthur. You guys know her as Maude. Wow. Bea Arthur, a Broadway star who had her own television show called Maude. Maude was a very modern show that reflected how realistically how life was in the 1970s. Sitcoms in the 70s. You all know about Good Times. Yes, it still shows on TV. Good Times. Temporary layoffs. Good Times. Yeah. Television once tried to show perfect families in perfect homes. But by the beginning of the 1970s, sitcoms were no longer afraid to deal with tougher issues. They showed working class families in real life situations. Their characters discussed war, racism, and women's issues, compared to new shows like The Mary Tyler Moore Show, MASH. All in the Family, Good Times, and Maude, shows like Here's Lucy seemed very old-fashioned. They're Good Times now. The new down-to-earth sitcoms were nothing like Here's Lucy, which had by then dropped out of the top 20 most watched shows. The last episode of Here's Lucy aired in March of 1974. Lucy had spent the past 20 years playing Lucy. People wondered, could she really retire? Queen of comedy. Let's see. In 1976, Lucy and Desi appeared together on a CBS special that celebrated the 25th anniversary of I Love Lucy. Aww. Even though it had stopped running years earlier, reruns of the show were still watched by millions of people every day in the United States. A new generation of fans had come to love it. I Love Lucy has been translated and dubbed into over a dozen languages and was popular all over the world. There were many places where Lucille Ball herself had never been, but was just loved the same. Love it. In the anniversary show, Lucy sang and danced. Other movie and TV stars appeared to introduce favorite scenes from I Love Lucy that everyone remembered. Even though television was changing in the 1970s, I Love Lucy seemed to be as funny as ever. As funny as ever. Even now, in the 2022s, it's funny as ever. Although Desi and Lucy were no longer married, they were still good friends who loved each other. I like that. Their daughter, Lucy, was now married and had 2 children. Lucy and Desi had become grandparents. Lucy loved her grandchildren, but she did not like being called Grandma. She thought it made her sound old. She insisted on being called Nana instead. Lucy got a new apartment in New York City so she could go to visit Lucy and her family there. In April of 1984, Lucy was honored by the Museum of Broadcasting as the Queen of Television. For 5 months, the museum showed hours of television shows and movies starring Lucy. She came to New York for the opening night of the show called Lucille Ball, First Lady of Comedy. Oh, Lucy had not had a regular show in years, but people hadn't forgotten her, and they still haven't. Later that year, Lucy surprised everyone by appearing in a TV movie unlike anything she'd done before. Stone Pillow was the story of a homeless woman named Flora Bell. A homeless woman named Flora Bell. The writer of the script used the name in honor of Lucy's grandmother. The movie showed that Lucy could still surprise people. For years, she had only done comedy, but her role in Stone Pillow was a serious one. I gotta try to find that movie. Stone Pillow. I gotta look for that. Not long after the success of Stone Pillow, Desi was admitted to the hospital. Oh no. He had lung cancer. Oh no. Lucy wanted to visit him, but he refused.
It's 9 o'clock.
Desi didn't want her to see him looking so sick. But Lucy finally insisted on getting into the hospital, and the two spent the long afternoon together. Aww. 3 weeks later, Desi Arnaz died in his daughter Lucy's arms. Oh. Many reporters asked Lucy how she felt about Desi's death. She told them how she and Desi had stayed close through all the years. She was happy that he was no longer sick, but would miss him always. At the memorial service for Desi, Lucy cried the entire time. I can imagine. After Desi's death, Lucy didn't appear on television very often. In 1988, her old friend Bob Hope, that's another funny guy. He was funny. Look him up, Bob Hope. He invited her to celebrate his 85th birthday on a TV special. Shortly after the show, she collapsed. She had a minor heart attack and a stroke that left her partially paralyzed. She had trouble using the right side of her body. It was hard for her to speak or eat. Lucy worked with a physical therapist to get better. In 3 months, she was walking again, and she could speak more clearly. By November of 1988, she was well enough to appear on one of her favorite game shows, Super Password. I don't think I've heard of that. Super Password. That was 1988. Here's Bob Hope, you guys. Funny guy. Born Leslie Towns Hope in Eltham, England. I didn't even know he was born in England. Bob Hope became a comedy star in American vaudeville. He went on to appear in many films and to host the Academy Awards more times than anyone else. He also made many popular comedy specials for TV. His show business career lasted nearly 80 years, during which he made 57 tours for the USO, United Service Organizations, to entertain Americans in the military. I remember that. He used to make people in the military laugh so hard. The following February, she was invited to appear with Bob Hope at the 1989 Academy Award. She wore a black beaded gown with a gold sequin collar. It didn't say anything about what happened to her husband that she married, did it? I don't remember reading it. I'm going to have to go back and look at it. The skirt was slit up one side. Lucy was still proud of those long legs that she had once gotten her job, that had once gotten her a job at the Chesterfield, as a Chesterfield girl. She and Bob Hope got a standing ovation when they appeared on stage. Look at that. Standing ovation. Hope invited Lucy to come to Paris with him to be his next TV special. But 3 weeks after the awards, Lucy had another heart attack. She was rushed to the hospital. Letters poured in from across the country. The hospital received 5,000 phone calls from around the world. I'm sure it was more than that. The shopping mall across the street from the hospital hung a huge banner out front that read, "We love Lucy." On April 26, 1989, Lucy had yet another heart attack and died. Oh. On the following Monday, May 8th, many people around the country shared a moment of silence at 9 p.m. I Love Lucy's old time slot. Lucille Ball was a television pioneer. Reruns and interclips of I Love Lucy, the Lucy shows, and Here's Lucy still make people laugh just as much as they did in the past decades. You guys have got to watch it. It's so funny. The shows have been in 80 countries and 21 languages, including Japanese and Russian. She wasn't a beauty queen. I thought she was beautiful. She wasn't a beauty queen or even a highly trained actress. So Lucy invented a role that worked best for her. A television wife and mother who just happened to also be named Lucy. And in doing so, the Queen of Comedy had captured the hearts of people everywhere. Aww. Lucille Ball. May she rest up. Rest in peace, Lucille Ball. Oh, wow. The end, you guys. I'm going to show you the timeline of Lucille Ball's life. So you can pause it if you like and read. Yes. Timeline of Lucille Ball's life, timeline of the world. So you're comparing the two. Wow. The end. I hope you guys liked the story that I read today. Who was Lucille Ball? Wow. Shout out to Brian Martin, who bought me this book and this shirt. Thank you so much. I enjoyed reading this to you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me read just as much as I enjoyed reading to you. So don't forget, you guys, to click that like button and hit that share button, and then go on over to YouTube and smash the subscribe button there on Audrey's Reading Area, which I know you're going to do. Audrey's Reading Area on this Educational Tuesday. Well, all right, you guys. Shout out to all of you guys. I will see you again tomorrow, right? Live. Live. Live at 8. See you tomorrow. Audrey's Reading Area.